Today, I'm joined by York Baur, the CEO for Moxiworks, with over 400,000 agents that they service. He's going to share with us, I think he's even going to wave his magic wand and share with us exactly what it takes for you to grow your real estate business. All right, today I'm joined by York Baur. Listen, this is pretty exciting for me, York. I got to tell you, when we first met, when we were doing our thing we were doing for our agents, and I got off the phone, I've shared this with you. I got off the phone, I was like, man, York, that's my people right there. This guy is just so agent focused, so intelligent, has such a pulse for what's going on right now that I immediately contacted you back and said, hey, could we get together and just do something for the podcast here because your insight's so great. If you don't mind, as CEO of Moxiworks, give everybody a little bit of background on yourself, York, and then also on Moxiworks.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy, for the kind words and for this opportunity. I do love talking about the stuff we're going to talk about. I'm very passionate about it, as you know, and I know you are. And so it's a good fit. I'm excited about this. For my own background, I'm kind of this weird guy. I'm a technologist. I have a computer science degree from way back. I worked for 13 different technology companies in my career, which, a lot of people go, whoa, that's a lot, but that's how technology is, right? But I've spent the last 9 years at Moxie as CEO. And Moxiworks really, it's a very simple premise. What we're trying to do, and we build the same tools that many know, CRM and presentation software and websites and the things that people need. The difference is, and this reflects both my own personal philosophy as well as how we built our company, it's really around making an agent great with the people they already know and that know, like, and trust them, right? That's the core of everything we do. And do we have some, lead opportunity things and integrations? And yes, of course, and we can talk about lots of things, but at the core of everything we do, it's that premise: make an agent great with the people they already know.
And York, under your leadership, and obviously the product's tremendous, your team is tremendous. I can speak from experience. This is why we invested as a company, so that all of our agents would have this capability to have your products for free. Tell me a little bit about some of the growth. How many agents? I know y'all are, you're affecting a huge portion of the real estate market. Tell me about roughly how the company's grown, size, number of agents really y'all oversee right now, if you don't mind.
You bet. Yeah, it's been an exciting story. Although I joke, we're the overnight success that took 10 years, right? This stuff takes time. We're interesting too because of how we started. It wasn't some garage startup thing that some geeked out technology guy like me started out. We actually spun out of a Northwest brokerage technology unit, brokerage called Windermere Real Estate. So when I came to the company 9 years ago, we had one customer, that was Windermere, with at the time about 6,000 agents. Fast forward to today, we have 800 brokerage customers with 400,000 agents now on our platform using our stuff. So needless to say, we've learned a few things along the way. And it's great to have success, but it's a constant, you're just never done. Particularly in software, you're just never done, right? There's always the next thing and the new things to pursue. But it's been great, and we've benefited from this amazing melting pot of customers and agents that we have. That's how you make products better faster, is getting a lot of input, and we've been very fortunate to have that input.
York, I will say this is what really struck me the first time we talked also is that, your background is so technical, it's so technology driven, yet it's very few people that can have that technology background and understand that in reality, the way you make it so easy for us is that the technology is there to enhance the relationships that you already have. And so let's go into that a little bit, because obviously just the simplicity of what you do for us, making it so easy for the agents to have those conversations. Can you speak to that value of the relationship and kind of what you're seeing with some agents as far as where they're focused right now?
You bet. And I think, it's been interesting. One of the things that I think I have as an advantage coming to real estate is that I was not from real estate, until 9 years ago. So you have all these other experiences that you can draw on. And what attracted me to real estate, by the way, is that it's effectively, in its essence, it's a sales activity. And I'm very passionate about sales and salespeople and making salespeople better. And if you look at my career, many of the companies I've spent time at were about some aspect of that. Either I led sales in certain cases, I was the exec responsible for sales, or I was building technologies at the company I was at that helped salespeople. So it's a huge passion of mine. And I think the core of it is simply this: people buy things from people they like. That's the essence of the human experience. So what does that mean in real estate? Well, I think the flaw and you know, I've talked about this, Jimmy, offline. I think the flaw of our industry, and I mean both the technology companies like Moxie do this, I think, to a fault, and so do all the high flying companies, the disruptors. They're making it all about the technology. And here's a lead. And if you just have the right technology, somehow magically this person you don't know can be converted into a transaction. And I just feel like that's wrong. So here's a fun fact for you. A productive, mature agent, a successful long-term agent gets 82% of their business from their sphere of influence. So if you want to succeed, you should concentrate on your sphere of influence. That's the first fact. Second fact is in our system, and keep in mind we have hundreds of thousands of agents, the average agent has 400 people approximately in their sphere of influence. And we know this because we integrate with their email contacts that represent their sphere, right? So this isn't some little anecdote. This is broad across this whole base. Let's do some math together here. The NAR tells us people are transacting roughly, it moves around a little bit, but roughly every 10 years, right? So if you know 400 people, 40 of those people are going to transact this year. If you simply stay in front of them and be relevant, then if 20 of those people choose you, if half of them choose you, that's 20 transactions. That's a great business for most agents in most geographies, right? It's not that hard. Here's the other fun fact, and this again is NAR data. Transaction closes, 9 out of 10 consumers say, I love my agent, I'd use them again. 12 months later, only 2 out of 10 can remember the agent's name. We've got to stop thinking about this business as transactions and start thinking about it as relationships, one of the benefits of which are transactions. Right. So I'm sorry, I'm going on a bit of a lecture there. I'll bring it back. But the point is the technology should be there to help the human, the agent do that, to be relevant and have great relationships. It's not about the technology.
No, and listen, York, I wish you'd kept preaching. I mean, I think you are absolutely, what happens is there's this lead obsession, where we're getting these numbers that are so dramatic as far as 100 million leads sold in a year and only 5 million transactions, and so, I mean, it's like, where are we losing our focus here? Speak to me a little more. I really would love for you to expand on this, on the value of that sphere of influence and some of the things that you're seeing that people are doing to stay in touch with that sphere of influence through the network of agents you guys work with, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think, it's funny, we talk about this, and I think everybody knows this intuitively, but we need to treat it more systematically. And that is, the value that an agent can provide their consumer is massive, completely independent of a transaction itself. And what is that core value? To me, it's this. For the vast majority of consumers, their home is their largest and most significant investment, not only financially, that for sure, but also emotionally, right? It's where they're raising their kids and et cetera. So what happens to you as an average consumer if you have some assets, right? You're investing them, I don't know, in the stock market or wherever you're doing that, whoever your investment advisor is meeting with you quarterly, right? They're telling you what's going on in the market and advising you on what you might do. Why are we as an industry not doing that for the homeowner around their most valuable asset called their house? Right. So the number one thing we see successful agents doing, and your agents are a great example of this, Jimmy, with the tools as you're using them from us, is just do thoughtful, at least annual property reviews. And I would argue more than annual, given the craziness of the market right now, but certainly annually. Just say, hey, I'd like to come by and talk to you about what your home is worth, how your investment is doing, and educate you on the market. It's not about, hey, do you want a list? No. Okay, well, then I'm going to move to the next one. It's about that education, because here's the other thing that we know from the data that we see successful agents understand. The consumer takes as much as 18 months to decide on transacting. There's a 3-day window in there where they'll choose their agent. The average consumer in the US knows 10 agents. And unfortunately, my argument is some of those agents probably should not be agents. But the point is, they know 10 agents. 4 out of 5 consumers will pick the first agent they talk to. So just be that agent. And the way you do that is through providing ongoing value. And that value, by the way, can take many forms. Be community involved and do things for your customer base and educate them on their hobbies and the things they love and all that sort of stuff. But the core of it is keep them educated on their most important financial and emotional asset, that namely their home. And then they'll pick you.
No doubt about it. And this is, I mean, Speak more about that 3-day window that you're talking about. A lot of that is just when it comes to that timing as far as what they're doing. Obviously, you mentioned the 18 months. Can you speak to that a little more? Because it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually an area I think where the technology can help. So that, because you can't tell when that 3-day window is going to occur, obviously.
Right.
So what the systems can do, and our systems and others in real estate tech are good examples of this. And the marketing, by the way, that you guys do as our customer it's the technology plus the marketing. Right. It's this constant communication that's relevant to that homeowner that keeps the brand of the agent and of the brokerage in front of them, such that combined with the occasional interaction from the agent, the live interaction, for example, doing a thoughtful property valuation, that it's those two things in combination. It's that human touch combined with some automated stuff. And by the way, on automated, this is an important point, I don't mean human simulation. Right? Nothing in what Moxie does is trying to pretend it's the agent. And I'll give you a great example. We have programs that give market overviews, but it's very clear that's coming from a computer. And yeah, it's got the agent's brand on it, but everybody knows that's coming from a computer, and that's fine. It's data. What we're not trying to do is have some elaborate chatbot that's trying to pretend it's a human. Right? That does not work, in my opinion. So ongoing high quality marketing combined with that human touch, that's how you get that consumer to think of you, that agent, in that 3-day window. It's both of those things.
I completely agree. And I will say this, I had a background, you and I haven't talked about this before, but I had a background when I came out of college. I went to work for Merrill Lynch as a financial advisor. The first thing that they taught us straight out was the annual review. And it's something that I carried into my real estate business. And in reality, it's probably one of the best lessons I ever learned. And if you really, especially as the market has been changing, now is an ideal time to come in with, hey, just as we're coming on the other side of this, hopefully with everything, this is a great time for you to review. The market has changed dramatically. Your home's value has changed dramatically. This is a great time to be having those reviews. The biggest way that we're seeing with our agents and every agent I talk with around the country that they're generating listings right now is talking to past buyers, staying in touch with those folks and updating them on what's going on. And so, speak a little bit, because this is why we've been shifting. We did these where we've done video CMAs, unsolicited CMAs every 6 months, or have been trying to for years, and seen amazing results with these, where we're just recording our screen and doing these and sending them where they can see them whenever they want. We've been using, like Moxie Presents, some of the things where it's an interactive. Can you speak just specifically to that? Because I think it's such a great tool for us to be able to use, where it's updating constantly with interacting that way. Can you speak to that and that value in that?
You bet. So I think one of the misnomers, and I hear this from agents from time to time and others, they're like, oh, the data's out there. The consumer can get all the data. They're Zillow and blah, blah. Look, it's just, I'll use the medical analogy. Okay. Can you go on WebMD and myriad other sites that are quality, the Mayo Clinic, quality medical sites, and sort of self-diagnose? You can, sure. How many people actually do that, right? Or actually draw conclusions like, what am I going to do, an appendectomy on myself? No, everyone has access to the data. Sure, that's been the case for, by the way, 20 years. Fun fact is, originally what was Moxie inside of Windermere created the IDX standard in the late 90s. Okay, so the data has been out there for decades. But what every consumer wants, whether it's a medical thing or your house, is an interpreter, is an expert that's going to tell you what it means and make a recommendation on what you should do. So with that backdrop, the reason we keep the data live, and this is one of the features, it takes a lot of technology. We've invested millions of dollars literally into this infrastructure, such that because transactions take time, and the market, especially right now, the market is moving at a crazy pace. So if you submit a CMA or some other piece of data, and it takes 2 weeks because they're sending it to their parent for an opinion, or they want to get their spouse involved, or whatever the things are, that data is going to change. I mean, the second you send it, it's out of date. So the only way to prevent that is to have live data infused into the products. It's expensive to do. A lot of companies can't afford to do that because, one of the problems in real estate tech buys, by the way, is there are many small companies. That's something that you're starting to see consolidation. And we're an example of a company that's starting to consolidate other companies. Right. Sorry for that sidebar, but be careful, because I think you have to be thoughtful about who you buy from and commit to because of that. But regardless, that live data is so critical because it shows expertise without you having to say anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and Jordan, this is the beauty of this too now is because, I mean, typically in a typical market, we're using what's sold in the last 3 months. The problem we're having now is that in our market and in many markets, the data is moving so fast that literally the sale from 3 months ago is out of date. So we're utilizing more pending contracts, but the
Oh yeah.
data that we're getting is only showing the list price because it's not public.
Oh
Speak to
yeah.
that because it updates. This product updates, which
Sure.
is huge.
Well, and it's really interesting you bring that up, Jimmy. One of the things we started doing last November is using this data that we have across these now 400,000 agents to begin predicting the market nationally. And we're going to eventually boil that down to local and regional areas. But it's called the Home Sales Predictor. By the way, anyone can go on moxiworks.com and subscribe to the Home Sales Predictor. But what we're doing is we're looking at that agent activity that you've described, these CMAs and these other interactions that a good quality agent has with their consumer base, because that's the predictor of listings and therefore transactions. And we've been really accurate. We've got it already, and just in 6 months, we're within a 10% band of accuracy at a national level. And a little preview if you want to look at the one we just launched. That's the most recent one. We predict 2 months in advance. And May is going to be a killer month, is what we're predicting. So anyway, you're right. These things are leading indicators of what's going to happen in the market.
See, Jordan, I didn't even know about this. I mean, this is great. I mean, this is something that we're trying to do on a local basis also. We, like you're talking about, and what we try to do provide for our agents and just to have that pulse is right now, if we're looking at sales, closed sales, we're looking at a 30, 45 now with sometimes with what's taking time with lenders, 60-day rear view mirror versus looking at pendings, which is telling us what's happening right now. So we're watching that on a weekly basis to see, are these numbers in line? Are they seasonally right? Or are they ahead of schedule? To get us a better idea of that, we're watching those inventory numbers like you're talking about. See, this is where I believe technology is so valuable. Like you're talking about, the CMA that I do for someone today that they don't look at until next week, it's out of date. But what I love about the product that we're using with y'all is obviously as that thing goes from pending to sold, the data is updated. So the link updates all of that data, which is incredible to think that now that thing is updating itself almost to a point where they're getting the most accurate possible number. And what's happening is we've had people, they will see it and then they will call us 2 weeks later and say, well, wait a minute, this thing changed. The market changed,
Oh, yeah.
And so that's incredible.
A bit of a plug here, but it illustrates the point you're making. Okay. So that the agent that uses Moxie Present does 43% more listings. Why is that? Because to the extent that the consumer is talking to any other agent, that agent probably has got a static CMA. They're either still showing up with paper or they have some PDF thing, which is fine, but it's again static. The data doesn't update. So just showing up with a better presentation in which the data is live gives that agent a better chance at closing that listing.
And you want to make yourself look real high tech, which is hard sometimes with my accent, York. But what we do is we'll come in there and we'll do it where we start with their address when we're recording our screen. We record our screen where we're in the corner going over this with them. We'll start with Google Earth pulled up on their address, and it does this cool, down onto the top of their roof thing. And they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then we go to the interactive data that we've got with it's literally like press hard 6 copies. It's like they aren't seeing this. So it is that time. This is the beauty of the technology and tapping into this. But I do want to get back to, because listen, I think this is important too, because building up to that point, to that 3-day window you mentioned, kind of one of the things that has to happen is there has to be consistent professional marketing materials that are coming through. Speak to that a little bit, because this is what's so beautiful about the partnership with you guys for us and our agents is we have that opportunity. The second a listing comes in, that email comes in with everything they need to market it, social media wise, postcard wise, flyer wise, open house wise. And that consistent branding is what's really we're beginning to see compound now as we've been with you guys for a little while. Can you speak to that a little bit also?
Of course, yeah. I think for me personally, I feel like the industry, and this is where the discounters and some of these other guys, I think, in my opinion, are doing a disservice, we can't expect an agent to be an expert at everything. You can't be a great seller, a great marketer, a great lawyer, I mean, it's impossible. No one can do all that. So I think the quality brokerages, and yours is a good example, are using both technology and great marketing to take those things off the table so that the agent can concentrate on the thing that only a good agent can do, which is that human connection, the expertise, the experience, et cetera. And so the agents that we see succeed are typically at brokerages that are doing what you're doing. Our products, by the way, are only as good as the marketing and branding that flow through them, right? Which is why sometimes we'll get in these discussions where some broker will go, "Oh, we need an exclusive." Like, I keep this handy. This is a magic wand. People think that the technology is like, I could just do this. No, it's just a delivery vehicle for data, which typically comes from our systems. But more importantly, the marketing, the message, the brand promise. We do a lot of work, for example, with 1000 Watt. And they're all about it if you read their stuff. And it's true. That's what's going to convince a consumer to do business with that agent and that brokerage. And you and I talked about this a little bit offline too. I think people expect that this technology magic wand, but really success, in my opinion, and by the way, this is a lesson I came to real estate with. So this is not unique to real estate. In all selling, the key to success is a three-legged stool. It's training, plus systems, which usually involve technology, plus coaching. And it's a three-legged stool. If you do two or only one of those three things, two-legged stools and one-legged stools don't stand particularly well, right? So you've got to do those three things. And it may sound weird as a technologist that I'm so undervaluing the technology, but it's just a reality of experience that you have to have great training on how to sell. You have to have systems that help reinforce and automate that every day. And then you have to have great coaching, because we're all human beings. We all fall off the wagon. We all have problems. We all have challenges, right? So it's those three things done consistently is what makes agents great, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, that's foundationally what we're trying to do as a company as well. And I believe most companies that are doing it well right now. In reality, we're all out there. As fast as the market's changing, you have to have almost a second set of eyes that has a little bit broader view, and that can teach and train on, hey, here's where the opportunities are and here's how to take advantage of them. And then the coaching side, like what you're talking about, we try to do that through basically doing a lot of the 4 disciplines of execution book, where we do collaboration accountability calls once a week for groups of 10 to 12 agents. And it's just idea sharing. It's that there's never been an area of my life where I've added accountability. It hasn't gotten better. So, I mean, it's really, I couldn't agree more. And we can't thank you and Moxiworks enough for being that third leg on our stool and helping us do this so well. York, as we're closing up, anything you'd like to say is, as far as obviously you've got this great broad view of the overall market. Going into the rest of 2021, as we're speaking here, where would you say that you would have agents focus? Is it changed? Is it the same? What would you say to agents that are wanting to grow their business this year?
Yeah, and maybe this will sound like the old guy comment, I don't know, but I would say is the more that things change, the more they stay the same. I believe that good agents through all types of markets, if they simply concentrate on their sphere and adhere to what we just talked about, get consistent training and coaching and use the systems that reinforce those things and automate those things, you will succeed. And I think this is a problem all the time, but it's no more a problem ever than just now. And that is distraction. Don't get distracted. Don't chase the shiny object. Just go to these fundamentals, get great at the fundamentals, and you will not only survive, but thrive in any market.
Such good stuff, York. Can't thank you enough for taking the time today and spending some time. I know agents got something out of this. Listen, if you got something out of this, make sure you let York know. Well, I mean, just such an asset to the overall real estate community and the impact you guys are making. Thanks again, York, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.